you guys on that one?
Can't help you with that. Yeah, David?
I have a question about, I have text fields that a client enters, well, regular text into it, that eventually gets turned out into an XML file fed into another system. And my users is on, my users are on Windows, and they, every now and then they keep finding new characters on the Windows machines that just won't fit in the XML format. So when they're parsed, they don't get validated.
The XML part of it is easy because any XML that you export should be exported as UTF-8. That's a setting you set in the header of the XML file. You explicitly say that this is an XML file using UTF-8. So as long as you actually getting UTF-8 into the XML file, that shouldn't be an issue. There's no handles UTF-8. And you said it in the header. But if it's something that they send through a Windows machine, it might be that you get that the characters are corrupted on the way somehow. Coming up. Again, if it's uploaded as a file, you have to, when you read that file, you have to read it with the encoding that it's saved as. So you could assume that Lasso assumes that it's UTF-8, but if they saved it on a Windows machine, maybe it was saved as a Latin 1 or whatever. What's that other Windows?
Yeah, Windows 1252.
Yeah, Windows 1252, which is an expanded version, but still doesn't handle all the characters that it should do.
Okay, because I think it's long dash that they keep on using. Faster.
Well, it shouldn't be an issue. You have to look at the chain and make sure that you're actually using UTF-8 in every step. And the one step where that could deviate from is that if the file wasn't sent to you as a UTF-8, then you have to read it with the encoding that it was saved as. And one way to check is to see if there is a byte watermark in it, but that's not a guarantee that it's a UTF-8 file or not. And apart from that, it's guessing or checking on with the client what are you actually saving it as.
Well, in my case, it's a form field that they type into, and I save that to the database.
Then you have to make sure that the page where the form is on is sent to the client as a UTF-8, which is done in the header. Lasso does it by default. There are discussions whether you should also include the meta tag stating that this is a UTF-8 file. Some say that it's necessary. Bill claims that it's not. It's that the browser only looks at the header and can get confused if you use a meta tag as well, but test it. So if it's sent to the browser as a UTF-8, then whatever they send back using that form will be UTF-8 as well. And then you just have to make sure that it's dealt as that all the way down, including the XML export.
Yeah, it sounds like his users are sending a hyphen, this long hyphen, to the server as Windows 1252. It's stored, and then it's converted by Lasso into UTF-8. And when it converts it, it doesn't exist, that hyphen in UTF-8, because it's a, Lasso thinks it's UTF-8, and it's not, so it doesn't exist. So what Lasso will do then is convert it to the unknown character within UTF-8, which is a 2-byte character. It's FFFE. And so when it gets served back to the client, it comes back as this 2-byte UTF character, and usually some questions.
I've worked with MySQL and fixed with files. It's like instead of having delimiter, it's fixed with field. And I've done import before, like into Latin 1, where I can do 1-to-1. But so with that thought process, I was wondering, like with MySQL, when you set a field of car 3 or car X, how is that interpreted? Like, how does it handle that for UTF-8? Does it assume 2 bytes for each character, or for multi-bytes? I'm just curious how, if you have any.
I don't have the definite answer. I've had the same question, and I've done some testing. I considered, well, it doesn't seem to be an issue. So, but how MySQL solves that, I don't know.
A lot of times you specify car, but then it'll say, well, we'll just make it a var car.
Well, not in MySQL 5. You can mix varchar and char fields in MySQL 5. So they stay char there.
No, it'll actually say car, but internally there are some cases where it'll say car, but it's actually internally it becomes a var car.
Yeah.
But even if it's a var car, like, does it?
It still has a limit, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
yeah, but still.
Limit like text.
I haven't run into practical problems.
Yeah, the only time I
Due to
had
this.
a problem with it when I was working with a fix with 5. The situation was everything that I was importing was basically line 1, but then once I'm posting on the website, people might come in and change name values to correct because they butched it on the front end, so then when I get it, they want to correct it, and then they want UTF-8. So the workaround that I had was basically to import it to a temporary table as Latin 1, then just convert it to UTF-8 because the transition is smoothest between the two.
Well,
And that's how my question came up.
well, and I don't have an answer for it, so
Yeah.
it wasn't in my script for this movie.
When about the saving the files as UTF-8 when you create them, does that need to apply to all the files in the solution to have includes? What happens if you include a form that is written and it's saved without boom, or well, without UTF-8?
Each file that's included is interpreted by Lasso based on if there's a boom or on the platform it's served on.
Yeah, but I mean, if I write an HTML file and it's saved on my computer at UTF-8 boom, and for the snippet of code that is the actual form, that is an include, and that included file is not a saved as UTF-8 to the boom. Since there is no characters in this case that turns up wrong, because they're...
Now, it will work, it's my experience, but
Yeah, it will work.
I just wonder how many files you need to convert.
using BBA, it's very easy to batch convert an entire directory or a set of directories to UTF-8. There's a shortcut for that. I've done it. There's a possibility to do that. Read the manual for BBA, then there's a batch change where you can change the encoding of hundreds of files at once. I'm out of time. I stopped at the correct time, but you had too many questions, so I'm sorry, no more questions now. You have to do that.
Just one quick question.
Okay, do it while Fletcher is walking up the aisle.
Rex, more grass? How can it be a sandwich if it doesn't have bread on the other side?
That's a bad translation because smörgås in Swedish is a one-side bread. So it's a sandwich with bread on only one side. And that's a sandwich.
It's just said. It's just said.
We can't hold that. I mean, how?
Oh, you eat it with a fork and a knife.
Yeah, these
That's what we see with a fork and a knife. The point is the scripts, actually. That's what we want. So, I know people in my family that scrapes the scripts off and leave the bread. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.